I am going to mute you all, and then you'll unmute yourselves. We're going to go round robin, and I'll call on you guys to speak, to introduce yourselves when that time comes. And I will start sharing my screen. I have a couple different things to share with you guys. So here we go. Thank you for being on this call for the 2021 youth gathering next summer in our own backyard in Minneapolis. Thanks for being part of this Northwestern Minnesota Adult Leader Training. I'm Christina Johnson Dernier, because I was Christina Johnson for a really long time. I kind of keep that in my name, so people know who I am. And we are going to go around the Zoom, and I want you to say your name, your context, why you're on this call today, and gatherings that you've attended, ELCA gatherings that you've attended. I'll go first. I'm, again, Christina Johnson Dernier. I'm on this call because I get to be your Synod Gathering Coordinator for our Synod, to kind of walk with you guys and help you answer questions and prepare your group for the gathering. I am also the Director for Communications, Events, and Youth Ministry for our Synod. And I get to be I don't really know my title, but at the youth gathering, I'll be at Synod Day. There's property managers, and then I will be like a person for the property managers. So I'll be working in a leadership role at this youth gathering, since I don't work at a church anymore. My first gathering was in '97 when I was in high school. It was in New Orleans. And then I was an adult leader in Atlanta in '03. And then I've been part of the '09, 12, 15, and 18 youth gatherings with kind of different hats. And I just love the ELCA youth gathering. So I will call on you guys. We'll start with Melissa, because she's the first person on my screen.
Me, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. Melissa Pickering. I am at Our Saviors in Moorhead for about another month and a half. And then I'm at Zion Lutheran in Harwood. I am here because I'm the youth director at Our Saviors now, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like next year when I am doing seminary. And I went to 3 gatherings as a youth, and this will be my 4th gathering as a leader. I don't know what the years are, Chris. You're better at that than I am.
That's all right. And I knew I was going to ask the question, so it was a little bit easier for me to prepare for that. Thanks, Melissa. I see Pastor Jill Steichen. I'm going to have her go next.
Hi, I'm Jill Steichen. I'm at south of Moorhead, Comstock, and Hoff Parish, which is in the town of Comstock in the town of Rusted. I went to New Orleans way back in the 70s, which I suppose dates me, and then went to Detroit as a leader. So those are just the 2 that I went to.
Thank you so much, Pastor Jill. I see Tyler next.
I'm Tyler Bublitz. I'm the Director of Youth and Family Ministries at First Lutheran in Bemidji. I never went as a youth, and I've never gone as a leader, so I am rare and totally green. So I'm trying to learn and get prepared for this.
Thank you so much, Tyler. And you can always reach out to me, but you'll get some good information today. Jenny Johnson, you're next.
I'm the part-time youth formation director at First Lutheran in Battle Lake, and yeah, and I went once as a kid, and I think have led 3 groups. I'm not sure. It could be 4. I lose track.
Thank you. And Andrea.
I'm Andrea Keene, the youth director at Grand Park Rolog in Living Grace near Holly, Minnesota, and I'll be the primary adult leader going from there. I went to the 2006 in San Antonio and 2009 in New Orleans as a youth, and this will be my first as an adult leader.
Thanks so much, Andrea. Hannah.
You're welcome.
I am Hannah Miller, now Friesen. Still keep the Miller in. Same thing with Chris Johnson. Lots of people know me by that. But I am the youth ministries leader for Dilworth Lutheran Church, and I had my first ever experience at all with a gathering as a leader for the Houston gathering. And so I'm super excited to be our leader again for the Minneapolis gathering.
Thank you so much. And Susie Porter, I have you as next.
Hello, I Susie Porter, Trinity in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. Plan on bringing a group next summer, and I never went as a youth. Started attending as a leader, bringing groups in 2006, and have brought groups ever since.
Thank you so much, Susie. Madison Crane.
Hi, I'm Madison. I am the Director of Children, Youth, and Family for Redeemer and Zion Lutheran Churches in Thief River. I never attended youth gatherings as a kid, but I'm excited to learn lots from you professionals, and there's been quite a few extra helping hands in Thief River, so I'm excited to get to figure this all out together.
Perfect. Thanks, Madison. Jay, I have you as next on my screen.
I'm Jay Osgard. I'm the Youth and Family Director at Messiah Lutheran Church in Roseville. I also am a Sam at a church in Salem, Minnesota. So I kind of continue to gain information or maybe help some people, because I've been to 5 youth gatherings as a leader in my time here at Messiah. So, and then one, I was just a helper in New Orleans with Chris, but so yeah, I've been to a lot of gatherings.
You're never just a helper, Jay. You're a helper. But just a way. Melissa Percy.
Hello. I'm sorry I just hopped on a little bit late from another Zoom call for work. So my name is Melissa Persing, and I am at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Wheaton, Minnesota. And my our pastor asked if I could attend today since she was on another call during this time. And I do have one son left still at home, and he is a sophomore this year. So planning on him attending next year. I have not been to the gatherings in the past just because of my work. I had so many summer activities. I work with a 4-H youth development position. I was in Traverse County, but now I have some new responsibilities in the region. So that may free my time in the summer to be able to help with this trip in the future.
Thank you so much for being here today, Melissa.
Thanks,
and
Chris.
Devlin, I have you as next.
Hey, everybody. I apologize. I am not doing video because I am multitasking as well. So just full admission. I am an intern pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Wolverton, Minnesota, which is actually farther south than Jill in Comstock, Minnesota. So I'm about 20 miles south of Moorhead. I am halfway through a 2-year internship. I am a 4th-year student at Luther doing the DL program, and I took our kids from Faith Lutheran in 2018 to the Houston gathering as a adult leader.
Thank you so much. And I have Sarah and Nathaniel as next on my screen.
Oh, there we go. Hi, I'm Sarah Knopf. I am the Director of Children, Youth, and Family Ministry at Our Savior's Lutheran in Barnesville. And this is Nathaniel, my youngest, hanging out with me today. I went to Atlanta in '03 as a youth, and I have taken groups to New Orleans in 12, Detroit in 15, and Houston in 18. and hoping to take kids to Minneapolis in 21. I kind of got a gut punch earlier this week, and I found out that the high school in Barnesville does a few different international trips, and their one from this summer got pushed to next summer because of all of this. So now my high schoolers have the opportunity to go to Costa Rica early in June of next year, Europe in mid-June, and then we'll compete with both of those for late June, early July. So hopefully we still have people that want to go.
Yay. And then I see Pastor Christy Clems is on the call.
Yeah, hi. I am up in New Beginnings Parish, which is in Oslo and Alvarado, all the way up in the corner on the North Dakota border. I am hoping to take some kids next year. We don't really have much of a youth group or anything, so trying to restart that. I was in San Antonio as a youth, and I went to the second New Orleans and Detroit as a volunteer as part of the Servant Corps. And I was an adult leader in Houston. So I've done a lot of different roles and am excited to have it in our backyard and see what kind of fun things we can do with it there.
Thank you. Thank you. And I don't think I've missed anyone. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. I don't see anybody else on the thing. All right. So while I was preparing for this meeting, I was having the hardest time trying to figure out a devotion, right? Because it's such a hard and weird time to be in the world. Yesterday, the governor announced school was done for not school's done, but the continued distance learning for the rest of this academic year. It's like a gut punch. People were holding out hope. And when people are holding out hope and then it doesn't come to fruition, it's a little hard. And there's this article that I read called Finding Our New Normal, and I'm just going to read the very first beginning of it. It's by Susan Beaumont. Crisis moments call for strong, decisive action. People want to know that someone is in charge and things are being managed. But once the initial crisis calms, a period of disorientation sets in as we find our way to a new normal. The result, leadership style at worked during the initial crisis won't work well in an ongoing unsettled space. We are in a liminal season, stuck between an ending and a new beginning. The pathway forward is not knowable. The way we did church even 2 months ago is done, and we have literally been thrown out of our buildings by a pandemic. We can reassure people and ourselves by pretending this disruption is temporary. We will all resume normal activities soon. That reassurance is not helpful or truthful. No one knows what normal will look like after sheltering in place. Likely we'll resume many familiar things, but congregational life will not be the same. We are disoriented and confused, and there's grief and loss. I was on a webinar last night, and the speaker was talking about a deep grief, losing a child. And one of his friends asked him how he was doing. And he was used to saying, oh, I'm fine, or getting by, or whatever. And he felt like he was in a safe place to share, like, no, he really wasn't doing okay. And he told his friend how it's hard and how life is hard. And his friend said wisely, well, there hasn't even been a scab yet, right? There has to begin the healing process. There has to be a scab, and scabs can itch, and I'm a picker. And so all these new hurts, takes the scab away, picks at the scab. And I have a video that I want to share. I was joking with my husband. I'm like, I need a video that is happy, that hasn't been seen by everyone. And so I have this one I'm going to share with you. I saw it today. Hopefully not all of you have seen it yet, but it's of a new song, and I loved some of the images in it. And just know that no matter how you feel you are doing, know that you're doing a good job in all of this.
Brand new song by Alicia Keys. Good job.
You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Let your heart know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I know this helps it, but good job. Doing a good job, good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah. 6 in the morning, soon as you walk through that door, everyone needs you again. World's at a moment, it's not a sound, you're not around. All day on your feet, hard to go. Keep that energy, I know. When it feels like the end of the road, you don't let go. You just press forward. You're the engine that makes some things go. Always in disguise, my hero. I see a light in the dark. Smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Let your heart know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if this helps it, but good job. Doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. Yeah, it's a good job. Doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. No mothers, no fathers, the teachers that feed us, strangers and friends that show in the end. From the bottom to the top, the listeners that hear us, this is for you. You make me feel it. Oh, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all for all that you're doing. Go away. Thank you for all that you do and are doing in this time when there are so many unknowns, and it's sometimes hard to live into the unknown. So just thank you for that. Going back to this, We will continue on our agenda for today. Is just to give you some general information, let you know about registration that's a little different this time. Getting ready yourself and your group for the gathering, choosing adult leaders, and some resources. I'm gonna show you the gathering promo video and another video from Molly Beck-Dean. I'll just show you them back to back because the links in my PowerPoint didn't work very well. So I'm going to use it from the website. Back to sharing screen. All right, so this is the promo video.
God's presence was so massive. I thought that the roof was going to blow off the building. It's the love of God that will remain. We really get to get involved and learn about the culture of the city that you're coming into. You are loved, and there is no limit to God's grace. If our joy is only for us, then it is not God's joy. God's joy is for everyone. God was there through prayer from my church and friends. God was everywhere. Are you ready to live for this?
There we go. And then because of everything going on in the world right now, it's kind of hard to think about gathering with 30,000 people. And the director of the ELCA Youth Gathering made this short video just 4 days ago, and I wanted to share it with you all.
Chris, it's really hard to hear.
Okay.
You young people who are making the best of distance learning and grieving the loss of so many important activities and milestones this spring and summer. You pastors and youth ministry leaders who have jumped headfirst into a new way of doing ministry. You congregational leaders who are envisioning a new way of being church in the world today and in the future, and who are making tough decisions about events, budgets, and more. We are praying for you and want to support you in the best way we can. We're starting to get questions about how this pandemic crisis will affect the 2021 youth gathering. The truth is, I'm not sure. We're still in the thick of this thing, and the long-term effects are yet to be known. And so, we are moving forward with plans for the gathering next summer in Minneapolis. It feels like the most faithful thing to do at this point. We're paying attention, of course, to the rules and regulations around bringing people together, and we'll adapt any plans that we need to. Any changes that we make will be communicated on our social media, on our website, and through our G-News. There's a timeline of important dates on our website right now, so be sure to check that out. So in these very strange days, as we try to figure out what it means to be human, to be family, to be church, I share this blessing from the gathering seen in Scripture. I pray that God's Spirit will make you become strong followers, and that Christ will live in your hearts because of your faith. Stand firm and be deeply rooted in God's love. I pray that you and all of God's people will understand what is called wide or long, high or deep. I want you to know all about Christ's love, although it is too wonderful to be measured. Then your lives will be filled with all that God is. I pray that Christ Jesus and the church will forever bring praise to God. God's power at work in us can do far more than we dare ask or imagine. We indeed worship a God whose love and promise is boundless. Rest in that, friends. Peace.
Yeah, so that's, I can't imagine being in your guys' shoes, trying to figure out and to live into this unknown. It is a long ways away, but we don't know what this is all going to look like. So that's why I wanted to share that video from Molly, because it's like the promo video feels kind of weird to me right now, because we can't even be together in our home congregations. And so in your planning for the gathering, I just want you to kind of cling to that and know that the gathering is thinking about it. I found some peace in knowing that it wasn't just like a afterthought. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. You don't need to see my mug all the time. And we'll go back to the slideshow. And from current slide. So Molly read this theme verse. It's from the CEV. The program team and curriculum team picked this intentionally. I want you to know all about Christ's love, although it is too wonderful to be measured. Then your lives will be filled with all that God is. We are bound by our sin, by the expectation of others, by poverty, by isms that try to divide us, and so much more. We want young people to imagine the boundlessness of God. We are the stories of God's people, both in scripture and modern day. What are the stories? That share the awe and wonder of how vast our God is. What does it mean? What does it look and feel like to live a life filled with all that God is? At my training I went to, which feels like a million months ago, but was back in February, when talking about the theme, we talked about how young people are bound. They're bound by so much, but that God is vast. And so I really liked this theme. They're very intentional. The mission of the gathering is faith formation for teams. That's the whole purpose of the gathering, faith formation in teams. It involves worship, interactive learning, Bible study, service, and fellowship. But those are all just pieces. So churches who are used to just doing mission trips, there is a service element, The service might not be getting your hands dirty, but it might be in meaningful conversations and learning as well. But the mission of the ELCA Youth Gathering is faith formation in teens. The goals of the gathering is for the teens to be affirmed and challenged in their faith, experience new perspectives, ponder their vocation, bond with their congregational group, and learn about the ELCA. I feel like this is the first time that they've been very clear about their overall goals for the gathering. And I just really appreciate them and all the goals are goals that are met without trying very hard when you attend the gathering. There are daily themes. The themes this year are love, creation, forgiveness, invitation, and promise. The gathering is Tuesday to Saturday, this rotation. It used to be traditionally Wednesday through Sunday, but with the way 4th of July lands and camping ministries, our outdoor ministries, they wanted it to not be over a complete weekend. And so the first day is love, and that will be Tuesday. And then your 3 rotation days will be creation, forgiveness, and invitation. And no matter what, as a synod, we are doing at that time, you will learn about those things. And then closing worship on Saturday will be around promise. There's 2 pre-gatherings. There's MILE, the Multicultural Leadership Event, and that's at St. Thomas in St. Paul. It's $190 for that, and it's for youth of color or whose primary first language is not English. One thing that I want to, that they have been working on is if you have only 1 or 2 young people in your congregation that fits this. I know that in Northwestern Minnesota, our churches are not multicultural to a large extent. We have some congregations of primarily Native Americans, but I want you to consider this. The team putting this together is doing a lot of neat stuff. They're working on getting interpreters from Spanish and Ojibwe and different African languages. And so they're going to do a lot of good work. So if you have 1 or 2 youth, don't be, still learn more about this and talk to me. You don't need to bring your entire group to MILE. Then we have the table. The theme this year is Limitless for the table. And it's a pre-gathering, and it's for young people with disabilities and a caregiver. I got to experience part of the table in Houston last summer, and it was a beautiful thing. So if you have a young person, the age range is someone who would be attending high school. So we know young people with disabilities, some go to school a little bit longer. So it's not like a hard 18. So it's someone in that. So look into this if you have a young person. The caregiver pays the registration fees, but they're waived for the actual gathering if they were to stay for the gathering. And so this is another just beautiful thing that the gathering does before the gathering starts. So if you have young people that would be under the umbrella of having a disability, talk to me about it, and I would love to make sure that you guys learn more about it. So promoting for the gathering. This part is kind of the tricky part right now. It's kind of hard to get people excited. Well, it's easy to get excited, but it's hard to know. It's hard to hold on to that hope right now. But invite people personally. Call people, text people. The meetings are actually, I should have changed this slide because I was tweaking some of the other slides, but Zoom meetings, you guys are possibly zoomed out. But this is a great place to plug in, maybe share stories, have a youth who went to a youth gathering. If you're a congregation who has gone before, share what the youth gathering was like. And have people in your congregation follow the gathering on social media. They do a really great job sharing information. Registration is going to look very different this year. How it was explained to us before, it was like an old original cell phone, like the kind where you had to press the numbers multiple times to be able to text. That's when the registration was first built for the ELCA gathering, and now we've been brought up to 2020 for registration. So it will be a whole cleaner experience for groups who have large groups. You don't have to, you can use Excel spreadsheet and plug that in. You don't have to type everyone in. And you have to register as a congregational group. You can't just send one youth from your church, but there has to be a primary adult leader. And they receive the communications from us and from the gathering office about housing and payments and everything else. One thing you'll need to make sure that you know is your congregational ID. I have a document. If you don't know your congregational ID, I can look it up for you. But your office manager, secretary, someone at your church should know it, but I also have those as well if that's something you need to learn about. Registration dates. Registration is $150 non-refundable per person. This might be something that might change given the times. But right now, as it stands, it's $150 non-refundable early bird. Total registration is $350. If you do early bird, you will be housed with your synod and as a whole. Some hotels might be smaller, but we as synods will be close to each other. And there'll be some other incentives about registering as early bird. I just saw the Zoom chat pop up, and so I wanted to address those. I can share the PowerPoint slides with you, and I'm also recording this, and so people can share this information with your adult leaders or for you to pull information, but I can share the PowerPoint slides with you all. And then Pastor Christy asked, can you talk about what we do with multiple congregations as far as using a congregational ID? At registration, you'll use your own congregational ID, but there'll be a spot for you to put, like, if you're like going with other congregations. So they kind of want to know all the congregations that are going, but there will be a way for you guys to be a group. And so, yeah, and then I will tend to the questions more at the end because there will be time at the end. I just wanted to make sure since it popped up and it looked at me. So housing and registration balances are due May 21st. And I'm going to talk about housing next. Housing is, the gathering is contracting with hotels. There are 4 pods. There is a downtown Minneapolis section of hotels, a downtown St. Paul section of hotels, a Bloomington Mall of America pod of hotels, and then what they're calling West Minneapolis, but it's really like St. Louis Park, because like we know the Twin Cities a little bit more. So those are the 4 pods right now. The gathering is contracting, and one thing that is different for this gathering is you will pay the gathering for the hotel. You don't have to pay for the hotel directly. So they are working, so part of the registration process will be doing the room blocks and all of that stuff. So when you're doing your budget, budget $159 plus 11% tax per night for 3 people. And in doing that, yeah. I had notes, and so I wasn't really, I wanted to make sure that I was getting things. There will be an important webinar that the ELCA gathering will do in August about registration. And so they'll obviously know a lot more of what is going on in the world than we do today in April at that point. One thing I want you guys to think about is transportation. The gathering offers transportation. And I know for like where I live in Glendon, it's about 3.5 hours down to the Twin Cities. But if you are familiar with the US Bank Stadium, which is where the mass gatherings are, parking is terrible. It is terrible. And so my suggestion for you is whether you guys have parents drive down or you guys take Suburbans or minivans or whatever, or buses down to the gathering, but at the gathering, use gathering transportation. That will be an option at registration, but to opt into the transportation, because Kim Adams, who is from our area, she is in charge of transportation for the gathering, and she says that buses who like linger that aren't part of the gathering will get ticketed immediately because there aren't places for buses to be. And so the buses that are part of the transportation will be the buses that are allowed to be downtown. And there aren't a lot of great parking ramps, and they're expensive around US Bank. So my suggestion, my strong encouragement is for you to plan on using transportation. You will find out around January, February, if you do the early bird registration, what hotel you are at. And so like for me, if I was taking a group and we were at the Mall of America area, most of the hotels in the Mall of America have free parking. And so I would probably get, different cars and load up and drive down or gather with other people and share a bus, and then just leave it there at the hotel until the end of the gathering. Minneapolis, St. Paul, parking is expensive and a lot of them don't take. If you use vans, that might be too big. So just consider transportation. If you opt into gathering transportation as part of your registration fee, isn't extra. So that's just one thing I want to strongly encourage after learning more. And of course, there's construction planned for next summer in downtown. And so that will make parking and getting around even a little bit more difficult. So housing, you'll find out in January, February, which hotel, if you do early bird, and then opt into the gathering transportation. One thing that I want to encourage you all to do is get this gathering handbook. I have mine. You can download it for free, or you can buy, it's a lot of pages. So if you're gonna print it, I would maybe purchase it, unless you just like have a lot of colored ink or a lot of paper at your church or wherever you print. But there's a lot of really helpful, and there's a part about picking adult leaders and tips and tricks for adult leaders that will help make or break the gathering for you. So getting ready is important. The gathering does getting ready materials for your groups to use. There'll be 10 of them, 10 getting ready sessions, 2 on each program day information. So yes, gathering handbook. Biggest takeaway from this time, finances. This is a tough thing for right now. We don't know, people don't know about jobs. We don't know about the economy. Churches are stressed and strapped. We don't know if fundraisers are able to happen. And so this is a tough thing right now. But with it being a little bit closer to our backyard, the transportation costs will be down. And so that will be a helpful thing. But really, this is an opportunity for faith and growth of everyone who goes. So start thinking about budgets and financing the cost. Budgeting, there's the gathering registration. If you do early bird, that's $350. Transportation to get down there. Food, you'll have to provide most of your own meals while during the gathering. 2 days, lunch will be offered to you. Normally, it's just on service learning day, but so a box lunch will be provided for everyone for service learning day. And this year, because we're using congregations in the Twin Cities for Synod Day, there's budget to provide lunch that day as well. One thing that I always did for breakfast was bring granola bars and Pop-Tarts and juice boxes. And you might be at a hotel that has breakfast too. So that's one thing to consider. Housing, again, $159 plus taxes for 3 people, and activities and extras. One thing I want to really encourage you guys to do is not do the traditional Twin Cities things. If this gathering goes on and has as many people as normal, all those people from Florida and California and Washington, let them go to Valley Fair. Maybe do something a little bit more off the beaten path, Can Wonderland, or there's tons of museums. There's a lot of really great donut and ice cream places. So you can maybe go like on an ice cream tour or donut tour. Just do some different things. Maybe stay away from the big items what you think of when you think of the Twin Cities, and do a trip either when you can this year down there to get people excited about the gathering, or to say, you know what, we'll come back in the fall and do some of these things, because Valley Fair is not big enough to hold 30,000 people. So just when you're planning that stuff, plan for some of the off the beaten path stuff. Raising money, there's lots of fundraiser activities. We can share fundraiser activities on our Facebook page and in other places. But that might be something that we lean into once we know what the future looks like. Adult leaders. There's a large section in the gathering handbook about this. Adult leaders are not chaperones. Chaperones are at dances that lean against the wall and don't talk to the youth or are part of the youth. I've had fantastic adult leaders on trips, and I've had ones that have ruined the experience for the youth. And so picking adult leaders is one of the most important things you can do. Are they people that can be on and don't need a lot of downtime? Are there people that are healthy enough to walk 20,000 steps a day? And it's hot. It's not, Houston hot, but it's hot in June and July in the cities. Attitude, can they take leadership from you or from whoever the primary leader is all important things. They need to be prepared and positive, caring, non-anxious. If they don't like teenagers, they probably shouldn't go on the trip. This trip is not about them. It's about the young people. To help them be engaged, creating a group culture, to not be selfish, and to have a lot of grace. So when a group can gracefully respond to all they encounter, especially in moments that things don't go well, this empowers everyone. I've experienced adult leaders just being ugly to people, and that just looking at the youth when the adult leaders are being ugly, it breaks my heart. And so picking adult leaders, they don't get to tell you that they're going to be adult leader. They need to be asked. Some churches do an application process. Some churches get the youth together who are going to go and talk about who would be a good adult leaders. But it's really important that the adult leaders don't tell you that they're going to be an adult leader. They can ask to be considered, But I would see that as a big red flag if someone comes up to tell you that I'm going to be an adult leader, because then they're going to need to do a lot of, if you need them or they end up going, you need to work with them a lot to make sure that they're ready to go and know that, again, this isn't about them, it's about the teenagers and about their faith formation and their safety. So getting ready for the gathering, their website is great, elca.org/gathering. If you go to elca.org, at the top, there is a ELCA youth gathering place. They have the getting ready materials on there. They have a section on branding. So I'm wearing my quarter zip of the theme, Boundless, and if you want to use their logos for things, there's certain rules that you have to do. Old Lutheran, which is a Moorhead-based company, does all their the ELCA Youth Gathering swag, so you can check out stuff there. Or if you want shirts and whatnot and you want to make your own, or if you have someone who can make their own, just make sure you look at the branding rules to make sure that you are holding that. Sign up for the G News if you haven't. When I last talked to Molly Beckbean, she said that given the pandemic, that's going to have the most information. So if you haven't signed up for the G News, please do it. You can have parents and adult leaders, pastors, sign up. The more information is important. And then just to prepare yourselves for the gathering. So preparing your group, meet as a group. Again, we don't know what the future holds, but once you do have a group, meet as you can and as you're safe and able. Since there won't be as big of a journey probably for you guys, make sure you do meet before June as a group, and do more than just fundraising together. Learn about the gathering. The groups that come with the adult leaders that have paid attention and have come to these meetings and have read the G News and have done the getting ready stuff, their groups have a lot better time because they know what's going on, because it can get kind of chaotic. But the more you know, the better prepared you guys are. Yeah. And if you have questions, the gathering does a lot of great social media, so follow them on all your social media. And then one of my email addresses is up there, lyo@cord.edu. And then that's my cell phone number. You can give me a call. Please do it like during human awake times. But you can call or text me and I will get back to you the best I can. Yeah, so I want to honor your guys' time. If you have questions, please put them in the chat area. One thing that while you guys are typing, if you are typing, they've extended some initial deadlines. So there's a theme song for the gathering. They've extended that theme song. So you can, if you have young people or people in your church that know about music and love the theme, that has been extended. One question: what is the youth to leader ratio for the gathering? 1 adult to 7 is the official gathering. I like 1 to 5. But there were some groups that did 1 to 1 almost because there were so many adults that wanted to go. And we want to discourage that. Like, this is a youth gathering, not an adult gathering. And so we want to make sure that there aren't more adults than youth at the gathering. So 1 to 5, 1 to 7 is kind of a good good. Oh, one thing I want to make sure, because I wasn't looking at my notes while doing this, is that you guys know your church's insurance policies. If you have, look at your insurance policies for transportation, look at your insurance policies on background checks, and look at, because the ELCA Youth Gathering does not require background checks, but encourages them. But some insurance companies require them. And then look at your insurance policies for housing. Like, do adults stay in the room with youth? Do they need separate rooms? What if they're related? And if you don't have policies on those things, write policies, because it's just easier and cleaner. Work with your insurance policy and your church council to get those in place now, and it will just make next summer go much more smoothly. Another question, is there an advantage to registering on the first day of early bird? The gathering does incentives. So there'll be drawings for different things. And so there is that advantage. They used to do everything by mail. And so that was a little bit more difficult, but since it is all electronic, there'll be, the gathering will do incentives. But I strongly encourage doing it during early bird because it saves you money. And then you can be in the synod housing together. But yeah, they haven't released what the incentives are, but there were like priority seating or getting to spend time with Bishop Eaton, or like there were some fun incentives last time. Can you talk about the scholarships that are available for congregations for registration? Yes, there will be some scholarships available. They are through the gathering and it's for individuals. In the past, it kind of was for congregations, but what the gathering wants to do is to make sure that it is for people in congregations who need it. So this isn't a fundraising tool because you didn't want to do another car wash or bake sale or whatever, but it's for families who are having a specifically difficult time and for that. So they want to make sure some synods are helping with the process. They're kind of piloting a couple things, but we're not one of those. So need over like want to make sure that it's not like you don't want to, and it goes towards part of the it goes towards the registration costs. So not housing or food or anything like that. Can we add people after we register to the group? Yep. It will just be the cost that is on those dates. So if you do early bird, it's the $350, but if you add people in February, it's that more, the cost is higher for them. Yeah. I went to the gathering in '97, like I said, as a high schooler, and when I walked into the dome, it blew my mind that there were that many people in the country that believed what I believed. And it gives me goosebumps now thinking about it. Like 17-year-old Christina with bad bangs, just having her mind be blown by a God that's full of grace and love and a safe place to learn and be with my friends and get to experience different things. So I really want to encourage you guys to start talking about it and thinking about it. Maybe talk to your youth committees about how you should move forward during this time. And if you have questions or want me, last cycle there were a couple churches that hadn't brought groups in the past, or in at least the recent past, and I went to their church to talk to the adults and the youth about it. And I would be happy to do that and to share about the gathering and about the synod, because our synod, we have youth gatherings that we're planning on having this coming fall, still at this point. And yeah, I would just love for more people to get to experience it. And I hope and I pray that since it's closer to home, that encourages more people, because you aren't missing like 2 weeks of summer baseball. You're missing most of 1 week. So I'm hoping that helps the cause a little bit. Are there other questions?
What is G News?
G News is the gathering news. So it's like the official, they do a monthly newsletter that comes out on the 21st of the month normally. And so it will give updated information. They'll gradually let the speakers be known. They don't do that till later, but they'll just release the information on that. So if you go to the ELCA gathering website, there's a link, there's a box that says G News on it. So click on that and sign up, and it will get you the most up-to-date information. I don't get the information very much before they publish it. So I won't be like bestowing information onto you like sometimes in the past. They kind of, in this era of social media and information, they kind of just let it be known. There is a Facebook group in our Synod. Search for 2021 ELCA Youth Gathering, Northwestern Minnesota. I don't remember what order, but it has all those things in it. And it's a private group because I want it to be primarily for those primary leaders, because I want you guys to be able to tell your adult leaders and your parents and youth about that one. So I set the thing at private, so if you request it, I'll let you guys in, and then once there is new information, I update that pretty quickly. And now that I'm the Synod communicator, I'll be doing some more on the Synod websites as well, but that Facebook group is going to be the primary means of getting information out. All right, it's 12:03. Thank you all so much for being here. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Look at the gathering information, their website, their Facebook page. They have a lot of great stuff, and I will pray us out. May the Lord be with you. Dear God, in this time of uncertainty and struggles and trying to figure out how to be day to day, we look to you, our God, our Savior, whose love for us is boundless, whose grace for us is boundless. Let us cling to that. We thank you for the people on this call and all the people who care for your people in congregations, for your young people and adults and everyone in between. Bless them and keep them safe and healthy. In your name we pray. Amen.